This man holds the record for the longest time to complete a marathon. On March 20th, 1967, Shizuo Kanekuri completed a marathon in Stockholm, Sweden, which he had started decades earlier in the 1912 Olympic Games. Now, Kanekuri was no amateur athlete. In the 1911 domestic qualifying trials in Japan, Kanekuri had set a world record for running a marathon in 2 hours, 32 minutes, and 45 seconds. This led him to be one of the 2 athletes from Japan selected to run in the 1912 Stockholm Olympics. The journey to go from Japan to Sweden was a mission by itself. Commercial aviation had not taken off yet, so the 5,000-mile journey had to be done through other means of transportation, including a ship and 10 days on the Trans-Siberian Railway. Marathons have always been a source of jaw-dropping feats of mankind. The story that involves the modern sporting event we know today took place in ancient Greece in 490 BC. A messenger named Pheidippides ran 26 miles from Marathon to Athens to convey the message that Athens had won against Persia in the Battle of Marathon, one of the many battles in the Greco-Persian War. The youngest person to run a marathon was a boy from India named Budhia Singh, who completed his marathon at the age of 3. By the age of 4, he had completed over 50 marathons, garnering him celebrity status and even some Bollywood films.
What do we think of India's Forrest Gump?
On October 16, 2011, Fauja Singh became the first 100-year-old to run in a marathon after completing the Toronto Waterfront Marathon. Unfortunately, the Guinness Book of World Records did not officially give him the record, as he had no birth certificate to prove his age. Despite this, his running has given him much notoriety, and he has even been featured in an advertising campaign for Adidas, alongside David Beckham and Muhammad Ali. The 2019 London Marathon was a unique one, as there were over 40 world records that were achieved by people wearing different costumes. Historically, we've seen people run in some pretty wacky costumes, including a clown, tent, panda, skeleton, nun, postal box, bride, doctor, golfer, and even Mr. Potato Head. Going back to our hero, 17 miles into the marathon, Kanekuri suffered a heat stroke and was taken in by a local family. Once realizing what had happened, at the risk of embarrassing himself, he quickly fled the area without notifying the race officials of what had happened. With no sign from Kanekuri, Swedish officials had deemed him a missing person for years until 1962, where he was tracked down by a Swedish reporter. He was given the chance to go back to Stockholm and finish his race, which he did. His total time was 54 years, 8 months, 6 days, 5 hours, 32 minutes, and 20 seconds. That equates to an average speed of 0.000055 miles per hour, or 54 times slower than a garden snail. It's safe to say he really took slow and steady to another level.
And the winner is Rocky!
When asked about his long marathon time, Kanekuri said, "It was a long trip. Along the way, I got married, had 6 children, and 10 grandchildren," also giving him the record for most babies made during a marathon.